Well, thanks, thanks, Lee. Whenever I'm asked to introduce someone, I always like to do a little bit of homework, a little bit of research. And as many of you know, Professor Ouchi grew up in Hawaii, and I still know a few people back there. So I called some and tried to get some dirt. No one would disclose anything. I couldn't even find out if he liked spam musubi. So I'm going to have to revert back to what I can find on the internet. William G. Ouchi is the Stanford and Betty Sigaloff Professor in Corporate Renewal at the Anderson Graduate School of Management at UCLA. He is a long-standing expert on organizational design. Dr. Ouchi really became famous in 1981 for his best-selling book about Japanese management. Many of us remember that, Theory Z, How American Business Can Meet the Japanese Challenge. Well, when Theory Z was published, I was smack dab in the middle of a software startup of my own in the San Francisco Bay Area. And, as a startup, you have your share of challenges. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I better get a copy of this book. So I did. I bought a copy of Theory Z, and I read it. And, I was hoping that it would give me some insight in terms of how to get this startup on its path to an IPO. Well, I must have missed a few chapters because we ended up being one of the many flameouts in Silicon Valley. Nevertheless, I did kind of remember some of the lessons learned in Theory Z, and I did apply it to my next startup, which was really kind of founding the international division for Microsoft. Worked a lot better the second time around. Well, in 1984, after the successful Los Angeles Olympics, a group of civic leaders asked Professor Ouchi to participate in the Los Angeles 2000 committee to help examine and address the issues facing Los Angeles at the turn of the century. They studied the economy, pollution, healthcare, transportation, housing, jobs, water, power, and education. Their conclusion? Fixing public schools outranked every other issue. Thus began Professor Ouchi's interest and work on the organization and management of K-12 schools. In 2003, Professor Ouchi published Making Schools Work, a revolutionary plan to get your children the education they need. This book showed that allowing principals to make budget and instructional decisions results in higher student performance. By 2006, convinced by this research, 8 U.S. school districts had begun to implement the decentralization reforms described in Making Schools Work. Those districts included Boston, Chicago, Houston, New York City, Oakland, St. Paul, San Francisco, and Seattle. This naturally begs the question, what is it that schools do with their autonomy that accounts for the rise in student performance? So with a team of research assistants, Professor Ouchi began a study of 446 schools from these 8 districts. It is the result of this research which we will be hearing about today. This work will be published by Simon & Schuster this fall as The Secret of Total Student Load. Active in both educational and civic affairs, Professor Ouchi has served as a consultant to Chancellor Joel Klein of the New York City Department of Education. Wasn't that the same Joel Klein that prosecuted Microsoft? I hope he does as good a job. He has recently been appointed a member of the Committee on Governance of the Los Angeles Unified School District Board of Education. Dr. Ouchi serves as a former chairman and current board member of the Alliance, which operates 14 senior high and middle charter schools in Watts and South Central Los Angeles. He served as an education advisor to former California Secretary of Education Richard Riordan and co-chaired the Education Summit for Governor Schwarzenegger. Bill, we are very proud and pleased to welcome you here today.